Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about following the feeling, following your awareness, and not the template so much. All right. Now the template can change, and sometimes your awareness can change, and that sometimes will lead you to having a different technique in any one exercise. So say maybe you're working out and you have a hard time with that mind-muscle connection, you have a hard time with the balance, you have a hard time with the groove. That will evolve over time as you are performing the exercise. But one thing I do find is that, and I see it in the comments all the time, so those of you guys out there that are the altruists or whatever, the people out there that say, oh yeah, full range of motion no matter what you're feeling, that's it, otherwise you're some sort of douchebag if you don't do full range of motion, because I get this all the time on this channel. It's really annoying because they say, you can't grow muscle with that 90-degree squat, Jason, you can't grow muscle this way. Well, guess what I did? So I don't understand what the hell the problem is with some of these people in here. They see that I got a result. I won the highest level of natural bodybuilding competitions all over the world with these techniques, got my pro card, covered magazines, did all the stuff you can do in natural bodybuilding, but yet they're still saying, Jason, what you did didn't work. I don't understand it. But anyway, back to awareness and why it matters. There are a few guys that commented just recently and said they performed some techniques in the gym and they were getting some sort of issue around their knee or issue around their hip, and they started to basically ignore that and use the range of motion that was irritating those areas under certain exercises, and then they ended up snapping something. So what I'm trying to say to you guys out there is that you have to also trust your feeling. Don't follow templates or techniques just blindly. Apply the best you can. So say you want to do a parallel squat. Yeah, do the parallel squat, or at least try to do the parallel squat as best you can. But if you're getting overwhelming pain in the hip, overwhelming pain in the knee, overwhelming problems with your lower back and stuff, find out if there's an issue that you can address. And at the same time, as you're addressing these issues, use your awareness and find out, are the issues actually able to be addressed, or am I just having a chronic issue based on some sort of genetics or based on some sort of past injury that I've had, something like that. So you need to use your awareness. So here's an example as well. Say you're doing a dumbbell curl and you're on an incline, and then you come down, and then as you lock your arms out, you notice that you're getting a jarring pain in here. Don't lock your arm out. That's just as simple as that. Just don't lock your arm out. If you're doing bench presses and you're coming down, and for some reason when you go below a certain area you're starting to actually get a jamming feel in the shoulder, don't go below that. Stretch your delts, try to increase your flexibility, but even after you do that you're still getting that jarring feeling, then obviously that's just not the right area for you to go into. And over the 30 years that I've trained, I know a long list of guys that ignored that in their body and just kind of went through it, and then ended up with career-ending injuries in some cases. Some guys tore pecs and everything from doing excessive range of motion, which is the opposite bullshit that's told on the internet. They say, oh, if you don't do excessive range of motion, you're going to tear something. Guess what? All the guys I know that tore pecs, they went excessive range of motion. They had to touch the chest of the bar, or they had to go down extra low with the dumbbells. Those are the guys that tore their pecs. It wasn't the guys that were doing constant tension reps, just so you know. I mean, in the drug bodybuilding, maybe it's different, but in natural bodybuilding, you're not necessarily going to tear something just because you're using an efficient range of motion. Again, when I say using efficient range of motion, I'm also not saying don't ever stretch. Yeah, you got to stretch your body parts out. You got to basically warm up and you stretch and get the muscles going and make sure that they're prepared for full range of motion. And when you're doing lighter sets, perhaps you will do a little bit larger range of motion than you would when you're doing heavier sets, like I've talked about before, because it's all about being careful, right?
Horseshoes! See? For the horses. Horseshoes for the horses. I'm doing triceps for charity. Triceps for charity. I'm gonna start my own Indiegogo campaign.
I mean, you could sit on your heels and have your toes right off the floor with no weight and your knees are totally safe if you're just doing that with body weight. But if you do that with 500 pounds on your back, your kneecaps are going to basically fall off. You're going to basically tear your patella tendons right off. So weight does matter when it comes down to range of motion and technique. So this is something to bear in mind. Don't let the internet bullying influence your training. Don't let the internet tell you that you're supposed to do something a certain way just because their body is designed slightly different than yours is, and they're getting some sort of success with that technique. It doesn't mean it's going to apply to you directly, okay? So you want to make sure you make awareness first and foremost, and you make decisions based on that. Follow the feeling. Don't follow the dogma. There's too much dogma on the internet, and like I talked about before, there's a lot of mental insanity going on in the fitness industry, and a lot of this insanity can be found in fanatical thinking around a concept where they say, this must be this way, or that must be that way. Even if the technique killed you, these people would still say, oh no, that technique's the right thing, that you have to do the exercise this particular way. And that's the insanity around this thing.
What is this?
As you can tell, my cameraman doesn't watch the videos.
Whoa.
You don't even know the standard tricep thing I do, the standard tricep thing.
Well, like, I know of it. I've seen it before.
Tell you, what am I gonna do? Good help is hard to find.
Good.
Good help is hard to find.
Well, I'll be on Craigslist if anyone needs me.
Yeah. It's Handy Sam. His name's Handy Sam. Handy Sam on the cam.
So when I train, I find different ranges of motion depending on what exercise I'm doing, depending on what my goal is at the time, and depending on what body part I'm hitting, and also what history I'm dealing with in my body at the time as well, right? So some body parts, you might have had car accidents around, you might have had certain injuries and stuff like that, and that will influence whether you should be using a certain range of motion or not. So with tricep press downs, that's a primary example. Sometimes with tricep press downs, I only go to 90 degrees at the elbow. That way I keep the tension on certain parts of the tricep. Or when I use an extended range of motion and I bend the elbows more than 90 degrees, what I find is the tension leaves certain parts of the triceps and then goes more to, you know, maybe the tricep that's closer to the elbow. But the thing is, there's a transfer of stress from one muscle to another muscle, and that keeps the intensity off the muscle that I actually want to hit. That's why you'll see with certain exercises, I'll stay within a certain range because I'm trying to keep that tension on that muscle that I want to hit, not basically just transfer it from one to the next. Kind of like people passing a bucket of water down a line, right? You know, one person's working, then they're resting, and then that person's working, and they're resting. So I find the ideal muscle growth happens for me if I keep the tension on that muscle and absolutely totally exhaust the muscle, and then move on to the next muscle that I want to hit. So that's why sometimes you will see me also do a little bit more of an extended range of motion where I'll bend the elbows more and use lighter weight and just kind of pump out. But I'll be aware of what's happening. See, I'm feeling first. I'm feeling, okay, where's this tension going? And is too much of the tension going on the elbows? And if too much of the tension's going on the elbows, then I will lessen the range of motion. You know, I will stretch the triceps out, make sure all that stuff's taken care of, but I still will find the range of motion that is efficient to keep that tension on the muscle. Because there's a lot of guys walking around a gym with knee sleeves on and elbow sleeves. But one thing I don't understand is why nobody's asking the question is, why do they need elbow sleeves and knee sleeves? Well, the reason is because they mess their knees up and their elbows up because they're overstretching these joints under pressure. So yes, the knee sleeve will add some springiness from the bottom of the movement, but why do you need the knee sleeve? If that range of motion is totally perfect for your body type, why are you wearing the knee sleeve with all that springy type action at the bottom, right? Doesn't really make sense.
I think it's ironic that we're both wearing blue today.
I think it's pretty crazy, but the difference is that you're wearing somebody else's shitty ass logo clothing and you're not wearing mine, so
It's in the mail. It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
It's in the mail, yeah.
Yeah. It's taken like 3 years to get here. It's
three years.
These guys can testify.
Pay attention first and foremost, use your awareness first and foremost, follow the feeling, not the technique. The feeling is first and foremost, and then you can add technique in there, but make sure you always pay attention. Always pay attention to the feeling. So I hope this helps you out with your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks a lot to the patient supporters, and take care for now.